Well, in case you've never heard of Joao Pessoa or have any idea of where we are right now, here's a quick recap. Joao Pessoa is located on the northeast coast of Brazil, and it's a city with over 25 kilometers of white sandy beaches. There's so much to see and do here. It could involve hiking on the beach or strolling through the old town, taking in the history. But Joao Pessoa has so much to offer, you might just fall in love with it. We believe it's going to be the hidden gem in South America. And as a bonus for all of us from cold climates, it enjoys more than 300 days of sunshine each year.
As you all know, we are now traveling the world full time, slow traveling and spending at least a month in any given location. And we thought maybe we would take this opportunity to really share with all of you our thoughts on each location as we finish our time there. And as we are leaving Joao Pessoa tomorrow, we thought, hey, what better time than now to tell you about this fantastic city and all that it has to offer.
Yes, and all the cities that we are traveling around the world, we are going to keep the same category so you guys can use as a reference when we talk about the climate, the visa options, the accessibility. So there are so many things that we are discussing and sharing with you as we travel around the world.
And we're going to try and be as honest as possible because we feel like you guys really deserve to know what a place is like. Would it be a good option for you? So as we go along, we're going to give either a nice big green check mark for a category or an X, that it might need a bit of work or something that you should look at prior to considering. And at the end, we'll tally it all up and see where everything lies.
So let's talk about the first one. The first one is quality of life.
Yeah, so quality of life to us is really, how do we feel in a city? Is it a city that's walkable? Is there items and things for us to do? And in Joao Pessoa, really, there is an endless opportunity for activity. This city is on the coast. There's over 25 kilometers of white sandy beach. So any activity you could possibly think of that could take place on a beach or in the water happens here in Joao Pessoa. It is fantastic. And on top of that, it's a city that's growing. And as they grow, they're really starting to invest into their infrastructure, which also includes parks. And so there's been a lot of new park development as well, like walking paths, running paths that you can use. I don't know, it's just a great city with a really great vibe. The best I can explain it.
Yes, and there is also, it's not only about the beaches, right? Because if you like history, you can also enjoy yourself going through and understanding the history of Joao Pessoa, because we were invaded by Portugal, by Spain, by France, by what else?
Holland.
Holland as well. So there's a lot of moving parts and making who we are today in Joao Pessoa. And as you walk around the city, if you go to downtown, you go and see the old churches, you're going to be able to understand how and why we've got to this point.
Exactly. So for quality of life, we are going to say that Joao Pessoa really does check off a box for us, and we're going to say that we hope you guys would like it too.
Yes, the second one, it is going to be climate and environment. If you like a good weather, Joao Pessoa is going to be the perfect spot for you. Why? Well, if you are like an early person, by 5 a.m. in the morning, I'm not kidding, the sun is already out, it's already hot, and you can just go out and enjoy like the quality of life, going for good walks.
Yeah, if you're looking to escape any cold or dreary weather back home, Joao Pessoa will not disappoint you. It is sunny all the time. There is a rainy season, generally from January to May-ish. But when we say rainy season, it's not pouring rain all day, every day. It literally may rain for half an hour or an hour, and then the sun is back out. The rain is very passing here for the most part.
Yeah.
So climate and environment is amazing in our minds, and we're going to give that one a big check as well, because we don't like the cold.
Yeah, the third item, it's going to be safety and security. So how do you feel about safety and security in Joao Pessoa?
Yeah, I mean, I think when people picture Brazil, they're thinking of Sao Paulo and Rio and the really big cities. Really big cities do come with really big problems, and we're not saying that Joao Pessoa does not have any problems. There are areas within the city that suffer from same problems as cities back home do. But I can tell you, as a foreigner living here in Joao Pessoa, I have actually felt safer here than I did walking the streets of Toronto. We walk at night, we walk and run in the parks at dark, and never once has Jean and I ever had an issue. We take Ubers, no problem, the bus, no problem. We have never had any issues.
Yes. Do you think it is also a check?
Yeah, I think safety for Joao Pessoa is a check. There's, you have to evaluate each city individually, and so there will be places within Brazil that you may not want to go and travel to, but that's anywhere in the world.
It's anywhere in the world. And if you want to find trouble, you're going to find trouble in João Pessoa, in your city, so anywhere in the world. It's just do what is right. I mean, it's
Use your head.
common sense.
Yeah. The next category we're going to talk about is access to healthcare. And if you've seen any of our budget videos about Brazil, you're going to know that Jean and I both went to the doctor. We both had blood work done. Jean had an ECG done, just general checkups. And it was all extremely affordable. And literally on our main road here alone, there's cardiologist office, there's podiatrist, there's like dermatologist, there's any specialist that you could possibly need or want, including general care, just on one road. And João Pessoa has 850,000 people in this city. There are numerous hospitals, so you will never be without healthcare.
More and more people actually decided to retire in João Pessoa, especially Brazilians, a lot of them. So the infrastructure that the city is providing to these new people living here, it's going to be a good one. What is important to mention, though, is in Brazil, we do have the public sector and the private sector. What we have been experiencing so far is the private sector, where we go and we pay for our appointments. But if something happens to you, you actually need to use the public service, the public sector, you are gonna be, with hopefully everything is okay, of course, but you go to the hospital, you are gonna be checked, you're gonna be taken care of, and you don't have to do anything. You have a perfect example of that as well.
Yeah,
right?
Actually, the very first time we came to Brazil, when we were in Rio, I got some pretty bad food poisoning. And unfortunately, we were leaving that day, and I was in no shape to fly. But we went to the airport, and literally at the door of the airplane, I looked at Jean and said, I can't do this. I don't want to subject anybody on that flight to this situation. And I actually ended up in the little hospital that they have in the airport. I was there for a couple of hours. They gave me some nausea medicine, and I was dehydrated, so I got intravenous, all this kind of stuff. And as we were leaving 2 hours later, I pulled out my credit card looking to pay for the service that we had just had. And she's like, no, it's free. I couldn't believe it, but apparently this is part of the public health care that you would receive when you're in need, right? Even as a foreigner. So
and could we have gone to the public sector, to the public hospital to use that? We definitely could. We are not going to be a burden to what is actually out there. When we were walking the Camino, to give you guys another example, so Christine, here we go again. She also got...
I test all the healthcare, guys.
She also had to see a doctor in Spain. We went to the hospital there, and what happened?
Yeah, I mean, my feet were fine. I had some pretty bad blisters. Doctor said, don't worry about it. Give them a few days to heal, and we'll see you later. See you later. She said I didn't need to pay anything, but a couple weeks later, there was a letter that arrived in Canada saying that we owed 100 euros for the visit.
Which is also fine, so it's part of what it is. But comparing public sectors in Spain and in Brazil, we had to pay in Spain. We did not have to pay in Brazil.
So healthcare is a check in our minds.
All right, so the next one, it is going to be accommodation.
Yeah, we're going to give this one a big check right off the bat. Biased because we have a condo here and we love it. However, accommodation in João Pessoa is also quite affordable. I did a few quick checks here on booking.com, and you can rent a condo on the beach, like waterfront area, for under 1,000 Canadian dollars a month. So it can be quite affordable. And obviously the further away from the beach that you go, the cheaper your accommodation will be. So like anywhere, right? So these are 1-bedroom condos. They have pools in the building. You're right by the beach. Beautiful. So accommodation check.
24/7 security in our condo, right? So it's not a problem at all.
Yeah. The next one is cost of living. We have done several videos now about our budgets for September and October. Both months were spent here in Joao Pessoa, Brazil, and it is very affordable. I think each month we have been just in and around 3,000 Canadian dollars a month to live, and we do not want for anything in this city. The restaurants are amazing. You can find sushi, Korean, Italian, Chinese, like any kind of cuisine that you, although we're still looking for a good Indian restaurant. If anybody knows one, let us know.
One. I mean, but if you do know, let us know.
Yeah, but the food here is fantastic. The groceries, very, very affordable compared to back home. So cost of living, check.
Yeah, and especially when kind of going back to the groceries again, it's just we are exposed to fresh fruits every single day. When we are in Canada, you go and want to buy a banana, we want to buy an apple, whatever the case is. After a few days, if you don't eat it, so you have to go and throw them away. Here in Brazil, we buy just what we need.
Yeah.
Because...
Well, it's all fresh. You can literally go walk down the street in mango season and just pick your own mangoes. It's great.
It is.
So big check for cost of living.
Yeah, if you have not noticed from my accent, I am Brazilian, and the next topic that we'll be talking about and discussing is communication, language, and French. I'm gonna let Cousine talk because, being a Canadian.
Language here can be a bit of a challenge. There is not a lot of English spoken in the city. Though that being said, in the past 2 years since we were here last, we are noticing more restaurants are putting their menus into English. People are making an effort to learn a little bit of English because it is becoming more of a tourist destination for Europeans as well. So it's happening. However, it's still very uncommon to go into a store or a doctor's office, places like that, and have somebody be able to speak English to you. So communication can be a challenge, and if you don't know any Portuguese or Spanish can get you sort of by too in different places, then communication is going to be a challenge for you. So for communication, language, we're going to give it a bit of an X.
Yes.
Friends, again, is growing. The expat community here is growing, and every time we put a video out about Joao Pessoa, we get more messages back saying, oh, we bought a condo there, or I know my friend lives there. So the expat community is growing, however, it's still quite small.
Yeah, so for Joao Pessoa, we are gonna be, I mean, you already said.
Yeah,
it's
that one's the next. Right? Sorry, guys.
All right. So let's go to number 8, dining and cuisine.
We touched on this one already under cost of living, but the food in Joao Pessoa is fantastic. And it has some really cool restaurants. Because of the tropical climate, a lot of places have an air-conditioned area, but a lot of them have these huge open air sections, very lush with plants and water features and things like that. They're stunning, and the food is really it's sensational. I haven't had a bad meal yet.
Yes, if you are a vegetarian, you're gonna have options available to you.
Yeah,
we are
vegetarian.
not, so we usually, we go out and we drink and we eat without any problems at all. But more and more we can see that with the city growing, we are gonna find more options as well.
Yeah, and just to give you guys a quick idea, we ate out for 19 different times in the month of October, and we averaged right around $40 a meal for 2 of us, including alcohol. So that's not bad when I look back to what things used to cost back home in Canada. So I think dining out and cuisine, check.
Yes, and just another point is the places that we usually go are the most, let's say, expensive per se, right?
Yeah.
So if you wanted to find something more cheaper, you're definitely gonna find, but it's just within the region that we are located now, so that's why we are talking.
Yeah, the street food culture here is going strong too. Yeah. So the next category we're going to talk about is accessibility and getting around. Can you get here easily, and can you move through this city easily?
It is gonna be an X. I don't think that we have what we need yet. we see improvements on depending on where we are in the city, right? So João Pessoa was founded years and years and years ago. So the infrastructure that we had is not keeping up with the number of people already living in the city. We don't have a car, and as a result, we have to walk everywhere that we wanted to go.
Yeah, and the sidewalks here are less than ideal. They are different levels. There's massive tripping hazards if the sidewalk even exists in the first place. So it's not ideal as a walkable city. However, everything is within walking distance, which is great. And like Jean said, the infrastructure it's struggling to keep up. So there's one major highway in the city that tends to really, like any other major city, become very congested during the day.
Yeah.
So even though there is a great airport and you're able to fly into João Pessoa, if you don't fly in the middle of the night, you're going to be stuck in traffic for over an hour trying to just get from the airport to downtown. So it can be a bit of a struggle. However, they are improving, and we notice that with the new developments, the sidewalks are nice and level and flat. So it is changing, and hopefully that'll improve into the future. But right now, that's not a pro for us.
No, yes, and even give you another example, as the city is adjusting to what's going on, we were not able to find a transit app from the city where we can see what time it's gonna be the next bus. So things like this, we are still not able to, and yeah, we need to make it a better improvement. So we are not at that point.
All right.
There we go.
Okay, so next section is staying connected to home. As we are traveling full time, it's important for us to be able to talk to our family and friends back home. And if you're looking at João Pessoa as a digital nomad, it's important time zone wise for you and your work, right? So here we give João Pessoa a huge check mark. We are only 2 hours at this point with the recent time change. We are 2 hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time in North America. So back home in Toronto, let's say it's noon. Here it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's really easy, right? You're not on the other side of the world, so you're not having to call home at 1 a.m. for you so that you can catch people while they're awake back home. So big check.
Big check. Let's go to the next one, which is residency and visa options. So for residency, we have not started Christine's process yet, but to give you an idea, when we came this time, as a Canadian, I think it's an American, also an Australian, you don't even need a visa. You can just show up at the immigration with your passport and you're good to go. Depending on where or when you are watching this video, if we are not mistaken, in April 2025, Brazil is implementing an e-visa process, which...
Yeah, it's going to be fairly simple from what we understand, but you'll need to apply online prior to coming to Brazil. And with that entry into Brazil, you get 90 days as a Canadian right now. I had 90 days when I entered the end of July, but we were going to be here past the 90 days, and it was an extremely simple process to just go to the federal police and say, I would like to extend my visa for a further 90 days. No issues whatsoever. You paid 110 reais. Not a lot of money, and they extended my visa for 90 days. So I can stay in the country 180 days every year if I want to.
Yeah. So she didn't even have to go outside Brazil and come back again?
Nope, just right downtown to the federal police.
Yeah.
And just as a side note, they do have a foreigner desk where the person speaks English. So it's very simple. You don't have to worry about language there at all. So what's our decision? Final verdict. Should people consider João Pessoa as a place to stay long-term or retired?
I'm going to say 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, I think we had a few categories where we feel like João Pessoa can really improve. Obviously, the getting around and the sidewalks and the accessibility, as well as we're in Brazil, so we can't expect people to speak English. That's not their language. So the lack of English spoken can be a bit of a challenge if you're not able to learn Portuguese or know any Portuguese coming down here. So
yes, based on our categories, we had 9 of them with a check and 2 of them with an X.
Yeah, right? So overall, we're happy here. Clearly, we're happy here. We ended up buying a condo here and plan to spend time in the future down the road here in Joao Pessoa. So it would be great to see some of you here as well.
Yes.
So that's the video for this week. Let us know down below, had you ever heard of Joao Pessoa, Brazil prior to this video? Would you consider coming to Joao Pessoa?
We hope that we're well, we hope that we're safe, and we'll see you in our next video.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye.